Greetings. This is Deadman from Dagblog.com with your Dag Buzz for October 24th, 2010. Now, it's been a long time since I've done one of these, but today we have a very special occasion. I have a guest who I'm going to interview right here beside me. He is the co-founder of Dagblog.com, the G, Genghis, and he is also, very excitingly, a newly published author. The book is called Blowing Smoke: Why the Right Keeps Serving Up Whack Job Fantasies About the Plot to Euthanize Grandma, Outlaw Christmas, and Turn Junior into a Raging Homosexual. His name is Michael Ulreich, and I'm honored to have him here today. Come on in, Michael. Great.
Thanks. Fist bump?
Fist bump, absolutely.
Thanks for having me down at the studios.
No, thanks for coming by and discussing your book. It's a great accomplishment.
It's an honor. I was the View was vying for me, but I figured
we paid a little bit more.
Yeah, if you were 5 women, you would basically be the View.
Thank you. I think. Some days I consider myself 5 women. Anyways, let's get to the heart of the matter here. I want to discuss the book, and I want to ask you the one question first. What is the theme of this book? It's a fascinating book. It's enlightening. It's entertaining. I'm only 2/3 done, but I'm curious. What is the one thing you want readers to take away from this book?
A profound sense of the brilliance of Michael Ulreich, I think.
I already was there. I already knew it. So
then you're there. Then you're done. You can stop right there. You don't have to read the last third.
All right.
But it might go even a little bit higher.
I don't think it's possible, Michael.
No, I would say the message, the take-home message is that Houston, we've got a problem. There's something rotten in the state of the U.S. That could also be another version of the take-home message. I can throw out some more of these. We can do this all day. There's what's going on the right these days. What people are a little bit anxious about in the Tea Party movement. It's bad, and it's not new. It's not a product of the recession. It's not something that just happened when Barack Obama got elected. This has been going on for decades. And what's happened now is that it's exploded into the mainstream, and it's going to keep going, and it's going to make things worse unless we do something about it.
I mean, I can't even imagine things getting worse. I mean, one of the things that I've been fascinated by and outraged by and disgusted by is the anger that I see that people have, and you see it in these healthcare town hall meetings. People, up in arms about the idea that the government wants to give health care to all of its citizens. It sounds like such an odd thing to be angry about, and I'm just curious as to, why you say it's been around a while, but it seems so much more intense, and I'm just curious as to, if you agree with that and why you think that is.
Well, so one of the things, I had the same question starting this book, and one of the things I did was like, well, what the hell are they so upset about? And so I looked into what the tactics were, and what I saw was that anger that you're talking about, and Glenn Beck loves to talk about how angry he is, and Tea Party supporters love to hold up signs that essentially say we're really mad, but underneath that is fear, and I think it's fear that's driving the anger. And the fear has been something that's been deliberately provoked and developed by the right-wing leaders. And so what this fear is about, it's about you people, we people.
Mm-hmm.
They think of as a distinct class of Americans, which include white people, Christians, heterosexuals, gun owners, conservatives. The people that Sarah Palin calls the real America.
Mm-hmm.
These people are, according to this right-wing rhetoric, they're being persecuted. They're, Glenn Beck talks about how we're like the Jews of Nazi Germany, the white Christians.
White male Christians.
And so, just to answer your question, the healthcare thing, it all becomes a reflection of this persecution complex. Which I call this persecution politics.
Right.
You take this health care, and it's not just about, it's expensive, or it's going to lead to worse care, that sort of thing, which are reasonable criticisms to make. It's that somehow we are going to be we're going to get screwed, we white people. So that's why, for example, they'll talk a lot about rationing healthcare. And grandma loses her healthcare. Who does it go to? It goes to the Mexican immigrants or to the black people. Glenn Beck thinks it's like a backdoor reparations.
One of the things you say in your book, people think it's a zero-sum game, whereas, but that to me is something that kind of resonates. Like if I were, I'm close, I'm a white male, I'm just happen to be Jewish, but if I were in a position of power, and I've had this position for decades, and you know, you enjoy the benefits of that, isn't what's happening in America, I mean, you make it sound in the book like this persecution is almost fantastical. It's not really happening. And yet, if I were a white Christian male, I'd look at some of the things that are going on and say, you know what? Homosexuality is more accepted. My jobs are either being shipped overseas or given to illegal immigrants. You know, like there seems to be some, playing devil's advocate here, some justification for this idea that they're being persecuted. No?
Well, it depends how you define persecution. If persecution means, you know, not having the privileged position that you once had to rule indiscriminately over everybody else, then yes, in fact, they're being persecuted. But I think most of us would define it differently.
Well, yeah, but I think anyone in a position of power would feel that way, right?
Well, let me give you an example.
Okay.
There was a quote I've got in the book by Pat Buchanan in the 1990s, and he talks about how, you know, the people standing up for the blacks and the Hispanics.
This was at the convention, the culture war speech.
I think he did talk about it, but I think it was another point where this quote comes up.
Okay.
It was an article he wrote.
Okay.
And then he asks, who's there to speak for the European Americans? And meanwhile, at this time, there were, you know, a smattering of blacks and Hispanics in Congress. There were none in the Senate.
Right.
And the president, of course, was, you know, another white Christian. And so the group he was talking about, the entire government spoke for the European Americans.
Right.
And yet he had this sense, because maybe there were, you know, 2 more black congressmen than there had been the year before, that therefore, you know, the white people had no voice. And that's not persecution.
Right.
That's, you know, so, you know, in the sense that, you know, they have, you know, perhaps lost some of their power, yes, but to compare themselves to the slaves, or to the Jews, or to, you know, other persecuted demographics throughout history, which is what you see all the time in the right wing, is silly.
Yeah, well, it's certainly hyperbolic, and I think that's true. But for whatever reason, it has caught on, like you said. We're not talking about fringe people here. This is, you know, people like Beck have millions of members in their audiences. So what can we possibly do? You say we got to wake up, America, and yet it seems to me like there's no really good answer here.
It's not going to be easy. However, it's not impossible. And one of the things I bury into in this book, and I really try to figure out, is, well, how does this whole thing work? And, you know, how do you get people to believe a pack of lies, essentially? Yeah. And the way you get people to do it is you tell them stuff that they are happy to believe, but they don't question. It's not, you know, there's no, you know, the arguments aren't particularly persuasive unless you really want to believe it.
Right.
But these people aren't, you know, despite what some liberals might think, these people aren't stupid. Tea Party supporters tend to be more educated even than the population at large.
Tough to believe sometimes. I have seen that study.
Some of the most, you know, paranoid people have been brilliant. Morse, the inventor of one of the inventors of the telegraph and Morse code, was, you know, really concerned about a Catholic conspiracy run by the Austro-Hungarian Empire to take over the country. Mm-hmm. So, you know, there are...
doesn't correlate to intelligence, so we're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not that they're stupid, it's that they're allowing themselves to be deceived. And
because they are...
Because they want to believe it, because it makes them feel good.
Right.
But on some level, they know it. And if you can tap into that, if you can get enough response to that, history has shown, enough people saying, that's nuts, that's crazy, that's wrong.
Yeah. History
has shown that these people can start to take seriously their own doubts. And some of these things, like in the Red Scare, for example, collapsed incredibly fast once people across the political spectrum started saying, "Whoa, we can't go there. We can't go there."
But can't it also? It just seems like right now I see people in leadership positions facilitating it and encouraging it, as opposed to trying to tamp it down and say, "Whoa, wait a second." I mean, it seems like you could have a Red Scare that dies out quickly, or you could have a Hitler. And not to use the most common metaphor in history, but you could have something that goes too far and there's no stopping it.
Well, that's why it hasn't died out. I mean, that's why the Republicans are either they're, some of them are exploiting it, some of them are saying, "Hey, we can use these Tea Party folks."
Right.
Some of them are just scared to go against them. And as long as that happens, as long as the only people complaining are on the left, then it's not going to stop. So somehow we've got to convince the people on the right that this stuff is really, and the moderates, that this is really tearing the country apart. And you've got to speak up, and you've got to say, this is not what America's about.
Well, we're certainly not going to see it this election, and I don't think that's pretty clear to say.
It's this election is upon us.
Yeah, and the next couple of years, we've seen the early first couple of years of Obama, this party of no, this idea that there will be no compromise. If anything, that's going to be worse next 2 years.
It's going to be the party of no, 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 no.
I really mean no.
But it's not so much that there's be so much more. Well, there will be more no, because there'll be some of the guys coming in are going to be even more paranoid and even more have this sense of antagonism towards the Democrats than before. But there's also going to be more of them. There's just the Democrats. There's no way they're going to be able to break a filibuster. They may lose the House. So I think the next couple of years we can look forward to not a lot happening.
All right. Well, it'll be interesting to watch, and I want to thank you very much for stopping by today and giving us a little talk about the book. It's, again,
my pleasure.
It's called Blowing Smoke. It's in bookstores everywhere. Thank you very much, Michael, for stopping by.
Thank you, Dead Man.
All right. Take care.